Welcome back to my channel, you guys. It's me, CMZ News, here to recap Season 10, Episode 7 of Vanderpump Rules. Thank you for joining me. If you're new here, I occasionally give recaps of some of my favorite shows, drop in, spill my opinion on certain hot topics that's going on in entertainment and news. And Vanderpump Rules has been the hottest tea on the street for the last several weeks. I've got people who've never watched it begging me for recaps and how do I catch up to all 10 seasons in a day because they want to be completely invested in the scandal of it all. But you know what? You can watch my recaps. You can start, I would say, if you've never watched Vanderpump, and you don't want to start from the beginning, you have to at least watch Season 1 reunion, and then you can start from Season 2. Okay, that's that. With that said, before I get started, go ahead and please like, subscribe, and comment down below your opinion on my opinions of this recap. So we are going to start off here with Charlie and I. Listen, I got a laptop, so I'm trying to do a couple of things. I'm trying to, get a little bit more professional here. We have got Charlie and Raquel arrive at Guys Night. Now, the episode before, they were in Havasu. Raquel went on the trip. They went to Vegas. She, ends up making out with Oliver. She goes and has that moment in the room where, she's eating all this pasta that has like fish and caviar and all these things in it. And she's like, Lala's like telling her basically she's a mess. And, they were kind of fighting over Oliver, but Lala was like not really tripping. She's like, girl, do you if you want him. She makes out with him, and Lala tells her, I really wouldn't trust you around my man with you drinking. And Raquel tells her, well, good thing you don't have a man to bring around, with her little shaky voice. And then she goes into her guest room and she puts on her star bright night light that has all these galaxy lights, and the girls laugh at it and she hears. Anyways, after that they go to Havasu. She has a panic attack in the car. That seemed genuine, but I don't know, in a way it seemed like a drinking panic attack, like she drank too much and was just hungover, and it was just a lot to it. Anyways, so then they go out to Havasu, they get into it again, and she decides to leave. Charlie's there. She calls Lala a mistress, and Lala doesn't want to take any ownership of that, doesn't want to take any ownership of the fact that Raquel is bothered about, ironically, about the fact that Lala hooked up with James, 6 years ago. But Raquel decides to leave. And when she leaves, she tells Lala, you know what, Lala, you're just mad because I made out with Oliver and it wasn't you. And Lala's like, okay, that's absolutely not it. And she leaves, and Christina Kelly and Katie are in Havasu still. I'm gonna be honest, their trip is boring as hell. It really is. They should have maybe stayed in Vegas. I think Vanderpump early seasons, seasons 2, 3, 4, hell, even up to 5, they would have killed it in Lake Havasu. It would have been so messy. Can you imagine Kristen and Lake Havasu and all the drama and Stassi and everybody? Oh my God. But oh my God, Sheena with Rob. Maybe Rob had a house in Havasu. Oh my God, that would have been amazing. They missed it. This is not a Havasu crowd anymore. But they're really boring. It's low key. You got Christina Kelly, who's pregnant. No one knows at this time, but she's pregnant, so she's not drinking. You've got Lala, who's sober. I'm not saying they're boring because of that, but honestly, it's freaking Havasu. It's hot as hell. If you're not drinking some Coors Naughty Ice, what are you doing there? So even Katie's taking it easy. They do the little piñata for Schwartz and all that. But Raquel and them leave, okay? So they switching back gears. We're back in LA. Charlie and Raquel arrive at Guys Night. Everyone, especially Sandoval, seems really happy to see them. James is upset and he actually runs off. He's having a really hard time with having Raquel around so much and her being so accepted. James has always felt insecure in this group. And then here goes quiet Raquel, who's become everyone's, little sister, and let's take Raquel in our wings. She's away from James. Now Raquel can really fly. We can learn who she really is. Anyways, Raquel's giving a sob story about the girls being mean to her in Vegas, and that, she said that the thing about Lala not trusting her, and Raquel was like, and I told her, good thing you don't have a man around. And she's so proud of herself in shorts, and everyone's like, oh, good job, Raquel. Oh, Raquel, oh, you stood up to the big bully. Oh, good job, Raquel. And James ends up leaving because he's like, look, I've got my Allie at home. She's got hot ass, and I want to go. I don't want to be around here. So he leaves. Then back in Havasu, the girls come back home from eating. I don't know where they were. They were at like a bar or something. Now Lala meets this dude at a bar, as she says. This is what was annoying. Lala's sitting there in the bar, right? They're just in the bar without even knowing these people's personality or what they are. In walks 3 black men, and she's just like mesmerized, right? She's just like, oh, that's my vibe right there. That's it. That's my vibe. That's what I like. That's my vibe. Nothing wrong with that, right? But it's like, girl, you haven't even talked to him. Like, what if they're not good people? Just immediately, he's black and I like him. Like, knock it off with the fetishing. And like, that's how I feel about it, honestly, straight up. I don't care if I offend anybody. It offends me that this is like several times, like she's seen like the one black person in the room is like, that's who I want. That's who I like. Okay, girl, we get it. You have a different type than Randall, okay? So, she's so gangster Lala, right? And I think she thinks this is her like ticket to proving that. So she met this guy, the Don, as she calls him. He's got a bunch of tattoos. She's nervous because he's coming over, and the girls are like, well, he's coming over for sex. And she's like, I think Christina's like, no, he might be talking. Kitty's like, girl, he's coming over to get it, And she's actually super nervous. Now, I kind of felt for her here because she was like really nervous. She claims she has not, which I believe her, she hadn't slept with anybody since she had her baby. And the last person she'd been with, aside from James 6 years ago, of course, was Randall. So, I've had a child, and I couldn't imagine like the first person to be intimate with after having a child is like a one night stand. You got to do what you got to do. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I would be extremely nervous. Like, to me, after you have a baby, there is a very cautionary way you kind of navigate back into that life. And I just can't imagine navigating back into that with someone I just met, but whatever. So she mentions that she hasn't, had sex in 6 years, that she hasn't had an orgasm. I'm like, yeah, okay, we get it. Randall was the worst you've ever had and blah, blah, blah. But mind you, when they were together, she was doing handstands and, oh, does daddy want Lala to... I will never let that girl's problem is she talked too damn much, and she said so damn much on this show. Anyways, so, she's basically just been living in misery the last 6 years, but, goes on and has kids with them and everything, whatever, okay? Don arrives. He's cute. He's got a lot of tattoos. They go off to the room. They bang, okay? The next morning, she mentions in the room, like, how great everything was, and that the bed was so wet she couldn't sleep in it, all this stuff. Sorry. Katie mentions that the girls went down to the hotel and they had drinks and everything, and that the girls met up with Schwartz and whatever. That was the gist of it. And Lala was like, well, what did Raquel say? And, I'm sure they can figure out that Raquel gave the sob story. Now, James and Allie, they do a tarot reading. I really have no interest in James and Allie, so I'm not going to recap that. I do love James. I just honestly don't care about him and Allie. I do think it's interesting, though, that she is really into tarot. I am not interested, but there's just so much to learn. I feel like I'm so behind, and I really wasn't raised into all that, but, I think there is a lot to be said about, like, birth charts and certain things just kind of add up. So not recapping that, don't have any interest, but James is hilarious. Then the boys meet up with Lisa, and she discusses business. She's very worried about them. She has offered to give them their investment back. I think the last episode, her and what's his face, her husband, Ken, they offered to get the Toms back their money, and then they could buy back into TomTom within a year. And I think they invested $250,000. So they said no, that they're going to stick with Greg. She also offered to buy him out. They're like, no, we're going to stick with him. She encourages them to hurry up and open the damn bar. Sheena and Brock, they've made like an intention board, and she claims that, with her first wedding, you know how Sheena is. I'm so happy. I've never been happier. So she was convincing everyone she's happy, but right now she's going into this wedding with complete happiness and complete bliss. Listen, I love Sheena. She is my favorite person on the show. For all her faults, I just love her. But I think, this is Sheena. She's in a relationship. She's always going to say she's happy. You'll find out later if she's not. I do think she and Brock are perfect for each other. And just God bless her. So Jamie calls, which is Sheena's friend, which I think was a fake phone call. It just didn't seem real, but I think they needed to have the conversation on camera. And in short, Jamie's room got messed up. Her room was canceled and she couldn't rebook and all the rooms are sold out. And so she's gonna have to stay somewhere else or pay a daily resort fee in order to come into the resort. But she's a bridesmaid and Sheena needs her available. And so Katie is still coming to the wedding, or coming to Mexico, even though she and Sheena aren't, they fell out. And so Sheena is suggesting that she give Katie the money and lets Jamie stay in the room. Brock suggested that too. Her and Katie aren't talking. She's like, I don't know if I even call her, if I text her, she'll even respond, which is really immature of Katie. If the girl is trying to, Sheena has said this is a habit with Katie. Katie just ignores her calls. How are you going to ever work on anything or try to make things better? She did this even before they fell out. When she was trying to check on Katie, Katie was just not returning her calls. And it's because honestly, Katie doesn't care to know what Sheena thinks or feels or have her be a support system for her. She wants to be able to, yell at Sheena when Sheena doesn't meet her expectations or does something very wrong, which Sheena did with trying to hook her up with, the Raquel and Schwartz thing. Sheena was dead ass wrong for that. But, they do have a long history together. And I would think there was a little bit of love there. But Katie's very petty. Katie petty is what she is. And do I think that she should sell the room? No, not necessarily. But I also think, what Sheena gets into a little bit more details about this later. I don't even want you at my resort. You're not at the wedding. You're just going to talk shit. I know how you are. Why do you even want to be here? Go to Mexico. I can't stop you, but stay somewhere else so I don't have to see you in your bad energy. But Sheena cannot control that. And that's just all there is to it. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Meanwhile, at Ariana's, Katie comes over and they discuss the sandwich shop and raising money for investors. They've been really consulting with Lisa, which is something that I think is great. And actually, Lisa's interactions with them is so much better than the boys. She talks to the boys like they're idiots. And I feel like with the girls, and Lisa can be really condescending, but she's been a lot better with the boys, with the girls with this conversation. And she gave them sound advice, telling them listen, don't use your own money. And honestly, for investors, this show is so successful and the popularity of Tom has been such a success. I think an investor would say, wow, okay, I think that this might be a good investment to invest with these reality show people who are going to be here. People are going to know where they can come to meet them, because I know people who go to Tom and you can see Peter. He's at Sir. You can, Tom and Tom are always at Tom. And of course, they're always now at Schwartz and Sandy's. I don't know if I'll frequent Schwartz and Sandy's because I am not trying to give Sandoval any of my money, but Tom is owned by a bunch of other people too. But anyway, so, yeah, where am I? So anyways, they interview with a business consultant to perfect their pitch. And then we have a quick scene with Raquel and James, and she invites him to Tom's pool party. And James was like, I hadn't heard about that. And he's a little bit jealous. He feels like he's being kind of edged out of the group and that Raquel is being made to be this perfect being. And, he also admitted that it's a little strange that James hadn't told him yet, but yet Raquel knew about the party, okay? Which now we know, of course, Raquel knew about the party. Tom was probably come over, wear a little bathing suit, when I'm gonna get Ariana real drunk, dude, and I'm just gonna get her drunk and, come on, Raquel, we can sneak off, how he talks, I'll play my guitar. Anyway, back at Sir, Katie and Ariana meet again with Lisa, and again, they talk about the restaurant, they talk about the Toms, they discuss the room situation with Sheena's wedding. Katie says, listen, I'm inviting Christina Kelly. Ariana shares about Jamie's room, that something happened with her deposit. And Katie's like, I don't need to do a damn thing. That's not my problem. That's not my problem that Sheena's a bridesmaid, couldn't get her shit together, and now I have to give her my room. No, I'm going with Christina. And, it's petty, but I'm not the hugest Katie fan. I root for Katie to be something sometimes, and she just isn't, but whatever. So now we're up to this pool party. Sheena and Raquel are getting ready for the pool party. Lala's at Katie's getting ready. Lala's already throwing it out there. I'm not talking to Raquel. Don't want Raquel. I'm not talking to her. I don't have time for the foolishness. We get to the pool party. Hold on. everyone's arriving. Sheena and Raquel arrive, and Ariana is just so complimentary. She's like, what's it like to be this tall and gorgeous and beautiful, and just complimenting Raquel, who just doesn't deserve to even breathe the same air as freaking Ariana. And then Katie and Lala arrives, and Lala asks Sheena about the room situation, and she's like, I need to talk to Katie. And she ends up confronting Katie and talking to her, and or actually not at this point. She's like, you know, I don't want her negative energy around. She goes, I remember my first wedding, my first wedding, they do a flashback. She's like, you know, Mean Girl Stassi and Christina Kelly are judging my wedding dress and making fun of me and all this. And they were. And honestly, like, I got to give it to Sheena, like, her two-piece wedding dress is iconic. And in many cultures, they wear two-piece wedding dresses, okay? It's not something I could do, but, you know. And then Lala's like, you know, saying that she's got a problem with Raquel. She's like, you know, I can't forgive Raquel. She's weak. And she was like, you know, and I can't forgive her. She's a weak person. And Sheena's like, I actually think she's very strong. She goes, that's a PC answer. I don't think she's strong. And her calling me a mistress, and she's like, you know, she feels comfortable saying that and looking at me and saying that. And Sheena's like, look, I've been called a mistress before too. I know how that is. It's a scarlet letter. Sheena's like, all these years later, which is true, Sheena was like literally 22 when she was messing with Eddie Cibrian, okay? When she was, and listen, this was a different time. Yeah, there was Google, but there was no social media. I think there was YouTube or Facebook. Nobody was looking for Eddie Cibrian. No, you know, if there was articles about him and Brandy, he could have easily said, yeah, that was a People magazine article from when we got married, but we're not together. There was no, like, he was a soap star. I know Eddie's career, okay? I used to watch Sunset Beach, which he was on. I watched Third Watch, which he was on. Eddie was up and coming, but his relationship and what happened with him and Leanne Rhyme and Brandy, I think actually did affect his career. It affected Leanne's too. But anyway, so Sheena literally was 22. So if this incredibly good-looking Hollywood guy is telling you, who's older, like 10 years older than her, telling her, hey, baby, you know, we're not together anymore. I gotta leave her smoothly. Of course she believed him. Now, you got Lala, who was like 25 when she got she was like 28 or something, or 26 when she got with Randall. Anyway, I thought it was quite interesting that Lala was like, I don't like weak. Okay, yet you don't like her for being weak, and I hate that to defend Rachel right now, but like, you are weak, Lala. You can't take any sort of criticism. You take absolutely no accountability. She's calling you a mistress. It's not a nice term, but you know what? Like, she's telling it how it is. You want to rewrite history about what happened with you and Randall, and we all now have to believe that and can't question it because he is a POS. Oh my gosh, my nose is doing this itchy thing. But knock it off. So she's like, you know, I think Lala's actually, she's quite clearly very insecure. Her little tough guy screaming act, it's all BS. Anyways, Lala claims Raquel's a troll and she doesn't care, but she clearly does, as far as I'm concerned. Then Sheena and James talk about the timeline of the wedding because James is invited to the wedding, but Allie isn't invited to the wedding. Sheena lets him know, listen, a lot of my guests, significant others, are not invited to the actual wedding. She could come to the party afterwards. There was like an after party after reception. Of course, you know, anything we do that's not, you know, like wedding, like I paid for related, of course she can come, but she's not in the wedding. Do I blame her? No. Sheena is close with Raquel at this point. She loves James. James is also in the wedding. But, you know, James again mentions that he feels that Raquel's the new it girl and that these girls just like whatever's new and they like to put people in their place. And it's just annoying. And then James goes back into the house and he starts talking to the girls. Now, I am loving Gossip Girl James and him gossiping with the girls because James has got a mean streak and he's pretty funny. And James is telling the girls how Raquel thinks that she put like Lala in her place. And Ariana admits that she just finds it difficult to wrap her head around Raquel being mean. Ariana, I find it difficult to wrap my head around a lot of things. I think Raquel finds it difficult to wrap her head around things as well, except for maybe one thing. Anyway, and that they are probably the mean girls. Ariana's like, you know, I find it really difficult to think that she was mean, and I feel like they were probably mean to her. And Ariana defends her, and it's just like, this girl was probably just with your man the night before and is gonna probably sneak off and do something with him at your house at this pool party that you're not aware of. Anyways, Sandoval comes in and interrupts. He's like, Katie, this is your thing. If people don't see your perspective, then they're wrong. And Ariana walks away, and Ariana walks away. She's like, I don't want to do another guys against. I don't want to do Sandoval against the girls, which is true. Sandoval always gets into these ugly displays with the girls, right? Now, I will say that the girls yell at him too, so he's yelling back. I don't think it's cool to be like in anybody's, like, I'm not going to be yelling and arguing with some man that's like my husband's friend or something, like, I think that's inappropriate, but things happen. So, Raquel walks up and Lala's like, are you going to chime in on the conversation? And Raquel's like, yeah, I am. Lala, I just think, and Lala's like, come on, Raquel, put a couple thoughts together. I know, you can do it, you can do it. And it was rude as hell. And even Ariana's like, come on, stop, like, don't be mean. And then what's his name? Tom's like, there you go, bullying her, being a pathetic bully, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it was rude of her to say that, but now I was just like, whatever, she deserves that. But Raquel calls Lala a bully and tells her that she's pathetic. And Lala really probably could have went really hard on her, but I think Lala actually is holding back because she just thinks Raquel is dumb, and she's just like, I just don't even have the energy. And Raquel walks closer to her, and Lala's like, oh shit, she's right there. And Raquel's like, if you guys just want to be Chihuahua followers with her, and they're just like laughing her off. Like, Raquel thinks she's having this moment, and she goes, you know what, Lala, you just give off bimbo mistress vibes, and I think it's gross, and you're like pathetic, and I want nothing to do with it. And she storms off, okay? All this in her shaky voice. The girls are unfazed. Raquel goes outside, thinks I just told off Lala Kent. Okay, whatever. Then let's see. Lala, they like don't even care. So Lala brings up the room situation with Sheena, and Sheena tells Katie, she just goes over there. She's like, you know what, Katie, like I don't want your energy there. Like, stay at a different resort. And Katie's just like, no, like I don't need to stay anywhere. She goes, I paid $1,000 to stay here, Sheena, and I'm gonna stay here. And Sheena's like, okay, I will Venmo you $1,000. Katie kind of was quiet on that. Then Sheena runs off. She's like, your ex-wife is such a bitch. She's so pathetic. I don't want her energy around. I'm so sick of it. Like, I just don't want her to come. And Shorts is like, yo, like, I just really feel like because I'm in the wedding and I'm a groomsman, maybe I'll tell her I'll get back with her if she stays. And they're like, Short, stop, right? So he goes back in and he's telling her, like, look, and Ariana joins them. They're like, what's your price? Like, what if Sheena pays you? Katie's like, no, like, I'm not interested. I'm not going to be worried about it. I'm not going to be a stalker, like, watching their wedding. Then there's a flash forward to Katie actually watching the wedding on the balcony. And I was dying laughing because, like, literally I would be doing the same thing. And I've done the same thing at, like, resorts. I've done the same thing at, like, if I'm at a hotel, even and I have to be a resort and there's, like, a wedding. Oh, I'm going to look. Like, there's a local historic hotel not too far from me. They've got a beautiful bar. And they've got, like, 3 or 4 different venues inside the hotel, and you can go. There's always a wedding or a banquet going on. I have gone all up and through people's receptions with love. I don't do anything, I don't touch anything, but I've looked before the wedding has started, okay, to see what they're doing. So I don't blame them for looking, but it was just kind of funny. And then you've got Lala. She sticks up for Katie, and she starts kind of arguing with Schwartz a little bit. And Lala's like, they're just telling Katie, well, what if you do this? Can you do this? And she's like, how about Katie just do what's right for Katie? And Katie gets upset. She feels that Shorts doesn't defend her. She's like, I thought maybe, Shorts just couldn't defend his wife. And I thought maybe now that we're not married, that he could defend me. And you know what? He still doesn't defend her. She runs out of the party. He chases her. He's like, Bub, coming after her. And the episode ends. So I really feel like this episode honestly gave me old school Vanderpump Rules vibes. There was fighting, there was backstabbing, there was talking behind each other's back, there was multiple people going off on people. You've got Sheena running off crying, you've got Sheena and Katie against each other and the Mean Girls, and it was, Christina Kelly was there, and I thought it was good. You got Sandoval arguing with the girls. Good episode. I really feel like this was one of the best episodes of the season so far. This is also the start of the Scandoval. There's been multiple reports over the last few weeks that this is when the Scandoval starts, or this is when they're copping to it, so to speak, that the relationship becomes intimate and they're, you know, like more intimate than maybe before. Maybe before they shared moments or flirting or a kiss. I do believe she kissed him in Coachella. I think we had the wrong Tom. I think the Tom that she made out with was Tom, you know, Sandoval. But this is apparently when the actual relationship started. So we are going to see, watching everything with a new lens now, because this is when it starts. So if you stuck around, I hope you enjoyed this recap. Please leave your comments down below. Do you think that Katie should give up her room for Sheena? Do you think that the girls actually are being a bully to Raquel, taking out what we know that she's actually done? Are they bullying her? Is James wrong for like not wanting to be around Raquel? Is he being etched out of the group and Raquel's gonna be the #1 guy in the group? Like, what do you guys think? Okay, leave me a comment down below, and again, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Have a good day.